The Justice League was scattered, each hero dealing with their own battles. Batman lurked in Gotham's shadows, Superman struggled between his alien nature and his human heart, and Wonder Woman traveled the globe, carrying messages of peace. But far beyond Earth, something stirred. Something that had been silent for centuries. Apocalypse. The dead planet burned to life again. And at its center stood Darkseid, the god of tyranny. This time, he wasn't coming for war. He was coming for domination, not just of Earth, but of reality itself. His goal? The anti-life equation, a cosmic formula capable of controlling all sentient life. If Darkseid found it, free will across the multiverse would vanish. The first strike came without warning. A boom tube ripped through Central City's skyline. Parademons poured out like a plague, engulfing the streets. Flash moved faster than ever, saving who he could, but there were too many. In Metropolis, fire rained from the sky. Superman flew to the Fortress of Solitude for answers, but someone was already waiting. Grail, daughter of Darkseid. Half Amazon, half Apocalyptian. Entirely deadly. She wasn't here to help her father. She wanted revenge. Against him, and everyone who ever stood for justice. Meanwhile in Gotham, Bruce Wayne awoke from a vision. One not of fear, but of absolute knowledge. The Mobius chair, an ancient cosmic seat of all-knowing power, had appeared inside the clock tower. As Batman sat upon it, his eyes widened. He saw timelines unravel, futures collapse, truths too massive to comprehend. One whispered louder than all. Darkseid will die. But from that death, something worse would rise. Enter the Anti-Monitor, destroyer of universes. Once thought defeated, now reborn, and heading for Earth. His mission, obliterate all who dare oppose cosmic order. His first target, Darkseid. The Justice League assembled, Aquaman emerging from the oceans, Green Lantern flying in from deep space, Shazam crackling with magical fury, and Cyborg sinking with every system across the globe. But this wasn't just a war. It was a divine reckoning. Wonder Woman held Zeus's blade. Superman, infused with anti-solar radiation, glowed like a dying star. And Batman, now one with the Mobius chair, no longer fought with fists, but with forbidden knowledge. But then, the question. The one that haunted him. Who is the Joker? The chair replied. Which one? Darkseid met Anti-Monitor in the heart of a collapsing dimension. Their battle cracked the very fabric of space. Reality bent. Worlds shattered. Time stalled. And then, it happened. Darkseid fell. Not just defeated, destroyed. But in death, Darkseid left behind a fragment, a living essence. That essence struck Shazam, transforming him into something new, the God of Gods. Cyborg, now connected to the digital multiverse, could feel every reality humming in his circuits. Infinite possibilities. Endless threats. One solution: stop Grail before she completes what her father began. But Grail had absorbed the anti-life equation. And now, she was the weapon. As the League began to falter, torn by internal doubts and external chaos, Superman made a choice. Either I live as the protector of this world, or I die saving it. And in one final burst of power, Superman soared into the sun. The world watched in silence as Superman vanished into the heart of the sun. His body absorbed its raw, divine energy, more than any being had ever dared to take in. His cells screamed, cracked, and rebuilt themselves, turning him into something beyond Kryptonian, something nearly celestial. He re-emerged as a blazing figure of hope, Solar Superman, glowing with the intensity of a newborn star. And with every step, he radiated one truth: this ends now. Meanwhile, on Earth, Grail unleashed chaos. With the anti-life equation surging through her, cities bent to her will. People dropped to their knees, minds enslaved. She spoke a single word, and reality obeyed. Free will was dying. The Justice League stood broken. Aquaman lay wounded beneath the ruins of Atlantis. Shazam struggled to control his new god-tier powers. Cyborg systems glitched under multiversal overload. Batman stared at a truth no mortal should ever bear. Grail wasn't alone. From the ashes of Darkseid's death, something began to pulse. At first, just a whisper. Then a voice. Then a heartbeat. Darkseid was being reborn. But not as he was. The fusion of anti-life energy, Grail's blood, and the power vacuum left behind had created a monstrous version, baby Darkseid, not an infant in form, but in mind. Innocent. Powerful. Uncontrolled. Grail looked down at the creature and smiled. "He'll be better this time," she whispered. "He'll be mine." But the Mobius chair lit up, glowing blue beneath Batman, as it issued a warning. Universal collapse imminent. Rebirth event unavoidable. Batman clenched his fists. For all his knowledge, he still couldn't fix it. Not with logic. Not with power. But maybe with trust. He stood and addressed the League. "Everything we know is falling apart. But it's not because we failed. It's because the rules are changing. If we want to survive this, if we want humanity to survive, we need to change with them." He turned to Green Lantern. "John, call the Corps. To Wonder Woman. Diana, bring the gods. To Cyborg, open the bleed between worlds. We need allies. To Superman, you're our last light. Lead us." And then they rose. Not just heroes, but symbols. A beacon to the multiverse. And the multiverse answered. Elseworld versions of the League arrived. Red Sun Superman, Flashpoint Batman, Kingdom Come Wonder Woman, even Green Lanterns from entire dead timelines. The skies filled with armies of gods, aliens, magic beings, and speedsters across time. And at the center of it all floated Grail, with the child version of Darkseid glowing in her arms, and a voice that echoed into the bones of creation. "Bow to the new order." But Superman didn't bow. He charged. And the sky ignited. The impact of Superman's strike tore the moon apart. Light surged through every dimension. The League followed, Wonder Woman clashing with Grail, lasso against chaos. Batman, now disconnected from the Mobius chair, relied solely on his mind, leading the tactical assault with surgical precision. Cyborg created a time-lagged firewall, isolating the anti-life equation signal for just a few seconds. That was enough. Superman, pushing his body past the brink of godhood, plunged into the anti-life core, the raw heart of Grail's control, and whispered 3 words. "I choose freedom." And then everything stopped. The sky cleared. The wind returned. Birds sang. Time, gently, moved forward again. Grail was gone. The child Darkseid vanished. Whether he was destroyed or saved, no one knew. The League stood together. Battered, burned, but unbroken. Superman collapsed, his body smoking from the inside. But he smiled. Batman looked to the stars. "It's over." Wonder Woman sheathed her blade. "For now." Cyborg ran a diagnostic. "The equation is gone. The multiverse is healing." But then, in the silent dark of space, far beyond the edge of the known universe, something stirred. A faint hum. A crack in reality. And the whisper of a name no one had dared speak in eons. Perpetua. Far beyond galaxies, past dying stars and the ruins of forgotten civilizations, something ancient opened its eyes. Perpetua. The original mother of the multiverse. The first creator. Banished long ago for her ambition to mold existence in her image, a cosmic architect whose very breath could collapse galaxies and rebuild them in her own twisted vision. Now, with the death of Darkseid and the fracture of the anti-life equation, the cosmic locks holding her prison had weakened. Cracks formed in the source wall. Energy leaked through like blood from a divine wound. She was waking up. And she was hungry. Back on Earth, the Justice League tried to rebuild. Cities were scarred but surviving. People were mourning but free. For the first time in a long while, there was peace. But Batman couldn't sleep. Each night, visions came. The Mobius chair had left traces in his mind. Equations. Glyphs. Symbols written in the language of creation itself. Symbols he didn't understand. Until one night, they formed a shape. A hand reaching down from the stars. And he realized. Perpetua wasn't coming to destroy the multiverse. She was coming to reshape it. But she wouldn't come alone. In the deep corners of space, 3 figures gathered. The Batman who laughs, reborn as a living virus of twisted logic and fear. Luther, infused with knowledge stolen from the gods. A new being, cloaked in golden light, neither alive nor dead, bearing a face made of shifting glass, a herald of the end. They bowed before a swirling singularity. And from within it, Perpetua emerged, a cosmic giantess with a crown of stars and eyes that held the scream of 1,000 universes. She looked down at reality like a sculptor before cracked marble, and whispered, "This is not my design. This is broken, and I will start again." Back on Earth, a red streak zipped through the League's watchtower. Flash, his face pale. "We have a problem. Something's tearing through timelines. Entire Earths are vanishing. Not dying, erased." Cyborg tried to trace it. No signal. No pattern. It's like someone's editing reality. Then they heard the laugh. That laugh. The Batman who laughs appeared on every screen at once, his face twisted in joy and hatred. "Miss me?" Superman clenched his fists. "We ended you." He grinned. "No, no, no. You ended a version of me. But Perpetua. She made me something new. Something better. I'm no longer a Dark Knight. I'm a prime negative. I rewrite rules." With a snap of his fingers, the moon blinked out of existence. Just gone. Wonder Woman stepped forward. What does she want? The laughter stopped. She wants her multiverse. Not this messy patchwork of choices and free will. She wants order. Her order. She wants gods who obey. Worlds that kneel. And heroes. She wants them dead. And then the war began. Not of armies. Not even of universes. But of realities. Entire timelines clashed. Earth 3 collided with Earth 23. The Justice Society returned. The new gods fell. Titans rose. Lantern Corps burned out like candles. Superman was pulled across dimensions, forced to relive every mistake he ever made, over and over. Wonder Woman was offered a crown to rule all Amazons if she betrayed the League. Batman was faced with his dead parents, alive and whispering, "Join her and we can fix it all." But they didn't break. Together, they dove into the Forge of Worlds, the core of creation itself. There, they discovered something no one expected. The multiverse wasn't just rebelling against Perpetua. It was calling out for new heroes. A spark of rebellion lit across the dimensions. A young Kryptonian on Earth, 19, picked up his father's cape. A forgotten Amazon on Earth, 11, lifted the God-Killer blade. Even a reformed villain, Lex Luthor himself, made a choice. To stand with the League. The final battle loomed. The sky turned red. The stars screamed. Perpetua stood over existence like a queen with a broken crown. She lifted her hand, ready to erase all. But then, one voice echoed louder than time. Superman. Glowing brighter than ever. Not as a god. Not as a weapon. But as hope. "Creation doesn't need control," he said. "It needs freedom, to choose, to fall, to rise again." And in a blinding blast of light, powered by every hero, every world, every timeline that chose to resist, they struck. Reality bent. Time shattered. And Perpetua screamed. Then, silence. A new dawn. A reborn multiverse. But not as it was. Something had changed. And in the heart of it, a single file blinked to life inside Cyborg's system. Unmarked. Undetected. It read, "Project. Final Crisis. Status. Active." Cyborg stared at the blinking file. Project. Final Crisis. Status. Active. No encryption. No firewalls. Just waiting. He hesitated, fingers hovering over the interface. This wasn't from Earth, nor from Apocalypse, not even from New Genesis. It was something older. Something outside the source wall. A frequency he couldn't trace, as if it had been waiting for just this moment, after Perpetua's fall, to awaken. He tapped it. And suddenly, he wasn't in the watchtower anymore. He stood in a place between time, a realm of endless black and white, where color had never existed. Floating before him were infinite shards of broken stories, spinning like glass in a silent void. Voices echoed without mouths. Worlds whispered secrets they'd never told. Then, a figure emerged. Not human. Not God. But something far more terrifying. A being wrapped in editorial chains and quantum ink, the chronicler, a manifestation of the overvoid itself, the blank page upon which all realities are written. "You opened the final file," the chronicler said, its voice layered with 1,000 echoes. "Do you understand what this means?" Cyborg shook his head. "It means the story has gone off script." Back in the waking world, Batman saw Cyborg collapse, systems overloaded with impossible data. He reached him just in time to see lines of white glowing across Victor's skin like circuitry of cosmic design. Cyborg's eyes flickered open. "They're coming," he whispered. "The editors." In the ruins of the multiverse's edge, where no reality had ever been stable, cracks began forming again. But this time, they didn't lead to apocalypse. Not to Perpetua. Not even to the dark multiverse. They led to something no one had ever dared to confront. The original writers, beings who didn't live in the multiverse, they wrote it. And now, they wanted to rewrite everything. One by one, anomalies began surfacing. Characters thought long dead returned with no memory of their deaths. Entire Earths blinked in and out of existence like thoughts being edited mid-sentence. Heroes found their histories rewritten, origins twisted, alliances changed, betrayals inserted where there were none. Superman now remembered a world where he never met Lois Lane. Wonder Woman recalled leading the Justice League, with Darkseid. Batman was haunted by dreams of a Gotham where he died in the alley, and Bruce Wayne grew up as the Joker. The League was unraveling. And in the shadows of every reality stood one man, untouched by it all. Wally West. The fastest man alive. The one constant across the storms of time. The Speed Force pulsed violently inside him, reacting to the interference. He felt something no one else could. The canon was collapsing. It wasn't just time travel anymore. It wasn't even about alternate timelines. This was narrative decay. The rules that governed the multiverse were eroding. Cause and effect, good and evil, hero and villain, everything was bleeding together. A final crisis wasn't just coming. It had begun. And there was only one message left inside Cyborg's memory banks, one final whisper from the chronicler before he vanished. To survive this, the Justice League must break the fourth wall. They didn't know what it meant. Not yet. But somewhere, in a quiet room, in a quiet world, a reader just turned the page. And the League realized something horrifying. We're not alone. The air grew still in the watchtower. Superman floated silently, his cape hanging like a banner of war. Batman stood by the console, hands clenched. Wonder Woman's grip on her lasso tightened, her divine intuition screaming one word, unseen. Cyborg sat up slowly, eyes still glowing with white gold light. "We're not just being attacked," he murmured. "We're being rewritten." A quiet hum began to pulse, like the ticking of an unseen clock. And then it happened. The universe spoke. Not with words, but with intent. Panels of reality blinked open around them, like comic book pages. Each one showing moments from their lives, being erased, retconned, redrawn. In some, Superman was never from Krypton. In others, Bruce Wayne never survived the alley. In one panel, Wonder Woman knelt before Perpetua as her daughter. And then they saw it. A single page, torn, flickering, showing a world without them. Total erasure. "Who's doing this?" Flash growled, his voice ragged from running against time itself. "Perpetua's gone. The Batman who laughs is dust. Who's left?" Cyborg slowly turned his head. "The source." The room went silent. "You mean the source wall?" asked Green Lantern. "No," Cyborg replied. "Beyond it. The raw consciousness that built the multiverse. The original writers. They're taking control back." Batman's voice was cold. "We were never meant to survive past a certain arc. We were temporary, narrative constructs. But we broke the cycle too many times. We won too much. And now the architects wanted balance. So they sent them, the editors. Reality itself began glitching. Hal Jordan's ring sputtered. Flash felt time skip like a broken record. Even Wonder Woman saw her reflection shimmer into alternate selves: villain, victim, goddess, ghost. And then, like ink spilled on creation, the first editor arrived. He didn't walk. He appeared. His form was made of eraser shavings and ink splatters. His voice was static. He held a giant quill like a scythe. "I am Panelist 1. Your stories are over." He swung the quill. A massive slash tore through the sky, erasing the moon from above Earth again. The League was thrown back, but Superman caught the blast mid-air, his solar form straining under the weight of an anti-narrative force. Batman activated an ancient artifact from the House of Heroes, the map of Hypertime, showing billions of branching realities. They were burning. One by one, editors arrived across the multiverse. The continuity surgeon, who stitched timelines together like Frankenstein's monster, rewriting entire origins mid-battle. The archivist, who sealed heroes in their most traumatic moments, forcing them to relive old tragedies forever. Red Pen, a floating god of criticism, who removed characters by deeming them unnecessary. Entire teams vanished. Titans. Outsiders. Even some Lantern Corps, reduced to notes in a margin. The League retreated to the one place left untouched, Earth 33. Our world. The real world. Where comics were stories. Where they were fiction. And there, they found him. A young man, sitting at a desk. Surrounded by Justice League action figures. Comic books. Posters. Stories he loved. He blinked, staring in shock as they appeared before him in a flash of light and static. Superman stepped forward. "We need your help," he said. The boy stammered. "Why, you're not real. You're just..." Batman stepped in. "We are real, because you believe we are." Cyborg connected with the boy's tablet. "This is the interface. This is where the story can be rebalanced." The boy hesitated. Wonder Woman kneeled before him. "The multiverse is being erased because they think stories no longer matter. But you're the reader. The only one who can help us rewrite what's being destroyed." Tears in his eyes, the boy picked up a pencil and wrote. The Justice League stood together and refused to be erased. At that moment, the sky exploded with light. Every League member across every reality felt the shift. They had a narrator again. Someone who chose them. The editors faltered. Their power cracked. A single pencil stroke undid their deletions. New panels formed, showing hope. Victory. Rebirth. But in the shadows, a final editor watched. Cloaked in black. His face a blank page. He turned and spoke one final line. "Fine. Let them finish this story. But stories always end." ChatGPT said. And so, with reality trembling and creation on the brink, the Justice League rose one last time, not as gods, not as myths, but as symbols of belief. The boy, now the storyteller, wrote their legacy into permanence. The editors vanished, powerless against the will of imagination. Across the multiverse, erased worlds reignited, broken timelines mended, and forgotten heroes returned. The League stood tall, not because they couldn't be rewritten, but because they inspired rewrites worth making. And as the final page turned, one truth echoed louder than any battle cry: as long as someone believes, the story never truly ends.